Champions League. We've got to do it. We've got to get stuck in, Rach. Do you know
the smiles on our faces because we're about to talk about Man City beating Barcelona.
Yeah, I knew that this was going to be a great game. I don't think I anticipated how great a game it was going to be in the landscape and ecosystem of women's football. I sat down to watch this game with my feet up on the sofa, with a cushion on one side of me and a glass of red wine. It just felt like that kind of night. Do you know what I mean? It felt like that kind of day. And it was deserving. It was a really nice bottle of red, and it was watching one of the most beautiful spectacles that I'd ever seen. I was so gutted that I didn't choose to go.
I was pitch side in Munich watching Arsenal get battered.
That was a bad call.
Yeah,
that's on you. Man City beat Barcelona 2-0. Chelsea beat Real Madrid 3-2, and Arsenal, like Rach said, were thrashed 5-2 by Bayern Munich. What did we learn from last week heading into match day 2? All 3 English clubs are back in action this week. Arsenal play Vålerenga, Chelsea play FC Twente, and Man City play St Polten.
What did we learn? I think Chelsea, familiar foe, and Real Madrid. Oh my God! Please don't draw them against each other if they get in next.
Boring,
stop it.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Again, a bit like the Arsenal game. Actually, Chelsea started really well, got the early goals, and kind of maybe let the other team back into it a little bit. Maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit. And I just wonder, are they finding that ruthlessness again under the new manager? Maybe they just need to find that because we're so used to, a ruthless Chelsea. Absolutely. If they get the early goals, you think of that Manchester United game last season, they get the early goals, they're like, let's get more.
For sure.
And I just felt like in the Real Madrid game and a little bit in the Arsenal game as well, they just sat off a little bit and just allowed the other team to get back into it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
But look, they got the win. That's the main thing. Arsenal, actually I thought a good first half from Arsenal. A killer to concede the equaliser just before half time. But the lapse in whether it was concentration, I don't know what it was. When you've got Pernilla Harder on form as well, it's always going to be difficult, but it just kind of fell apart like wet cake at the back for Arsenal.
Like wet cake.
Just like 13-minute hat trick from Harder, and the way where they went ahead and then they got back into it, and you're kind of okay, like there's going to be a game of it, and then it all just fell apart in a short space of time. So they've got Vålerenga next, which they will expect and want to beat, and I think it'll be an important game for them to maybe try and
dust off a little bit,
maybe have that game that they find themselves a little bit again. They get those goals and they just kind of ease a little bit of that pressure again. And then, I mean, Man City beating Barcelona. What I was so impressed by was Gareth Taylor's willingness to change things and to adapt. And in the past we've maybe criticised him not doing that. He said it on the podcast to us about how he finds he likes to have a plan A and a plan A that he does really well. And I appreciate that, but I think when you're coming up against a team like Barcelona, you're going to have to change things. And the commitment from the entire team and the buy-in and the belief into the way they were going to play was so evident. And they rode the storm a little bit at the end, which they knew they were going to have to do. But we always talk about Bunny Shaw up front. Understandably, she's unbelievable. But when she's back, clearing corners and defending, and it was just such a whole wide team,
a wholesome
effort.
Performance.
It was just unreal. And I think, I'm sure people who aren't Man City fans don't like Man City, but you can't not look at that game and be like, bloody hell,
that was
done.
Beautiful.
Well fucking done. And then, they go out at the weekend, ride it out a little bit against Liverpool,
for sure,
and to be able to then back that up with another win, get the winning goal in the 92nd minute or whatever, is really important for them as well. So yeah, unreal performance. You got to factor in that Barcelona, they can have a loss in them in the group stages. They know it's not the end of the world. They drew with Bran, I think, last year. They can have a wobble, and it isn't the end of the world for them, but really good for Man City, and could put them in a good position to potentially finish first, which could be really good for them.
What I thought was beautiful was this kind of, you got stuck into the game, and it wasn't just like a brief period of 10 or 15 minutes of Man City being like hot on the press and kind of then getting a bit tired and dropping off or anything like that. And I was expecting, like you said, kind of they were going to go into the second half absolutely shattered from having like this beautiful press for the 45 minutes. I was like, oh no, it's going to be one of those like damp squib type moments. It wasn't. It was absolutely relentless for the full 90 minutes. And I think I haven't personally seen a game where Barcelona, like recently, where Barcelona have looked lost. Like we don't know how to problem solve right now. It was honestly one of the most beautiful moments that I've seen in quite a long period of time. Like, you know, packed out Joy Stadium, you know, incredible goals, like incredible, like it was very feisty. It was like, I think one of my favourite games this year, I would say.
Love that.
Bang on.
And also Naomi Layzell.
Oh yes. 100%. I mean, getting the goal, assisting another on a Champions League debut.
Playing really well.
Playing beautiful
Not
football.
just scoring her first ever senior goal. Like, to a Champions League match, she dreamed about playing the Champions League. She was so excited to just be a part of a team that's in the Champions League. And to come out against the hardest team in the world to play and put on a performance like that. And it's such a bummer that she was taken off with that ankle injury, and I didn't like the look of it. It was innocuous, it was off the ball, she was running and she just suddenly went down, which are kind of the worst ones to see, so hopefully nothing too serious. But all the flowers to Naomi Layzell. It was great to see that. 100%.
And Gareth Taylor, again, giving her a shed ton of work, very well deserved praise. He said to do that, scoring and assisting when she was playing out of position against Barcelona is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely congratulations to Man City, because that was an absolute world-class performance. Slight criticism. If you showed up like that for every single WSL game, you're winning the league.
Okay, but playing at 100 miles an hour, like at that level, is so fucking hard every week.
You've got squad depth.
But you could say that about any team.
I'm just saying. You're capable of doing that. And that was the first time that I'd seen a Man City performance that was that beautiful in a while.
But, also you have to factor in that sometimes you play your best when you're against the best, because they challenge you in different ways.
All right, Gandhi, calm down.
You're the friggin' former pro. You should know this. Come on.